Hi everyone, I'm Michelle. I'm the head of marketing and communications at Mailjet, and I'm here with Arnaud, who is head of Mailjet API. So we're here to present to you how to build a Slack app and get it featured. Really coming from first-hand knowledge about our own Slack app that we just built about a month ago. So first of all, let's kick it off with who here is using Slack in their companies right now? Okay, cool. Who here is using apps or bots integrated into Slack? Okay, perfect. Yeah, the team at the back, you better be. Okay, and who here is interested in actually building an app or a bot for Slack? Okay, we're pretty much in the right place. All right. Okay, so let's kick it off. First of all, why should you even be thinking about Slack? Well, there's really an opportunity. We've got 5 million daily active users. It's growing exponentially month on month. These active users are not idle either. They're spending 140 minutes per day active on Slack, and 77% of Fortune 500 are on Slack. Let's flip over to the Slack app directory, which is often what we're here to talk about today. Here you've got hundreds of different bots as well as apps on the marketplace. And everyone's talking about them. Really, this is something that's become quite buzzed about, not just on Slack, but actually in the community in general. So to talk about the space itself, just to take chatbots, for example, one of the things that you can have on Slack, this year, every Fortune 1000 business will add a chatbot to their tech and marketing stack, and consumers will finally begin to understand the true potential of chatbots. Let's just take bots, for example. Is anyone using bots in their everyday life, even in their personal life? What kind of bot are you using? Or what have you interacted with? And is it, so it helps you do transactions? Okay. Perfect. Anyone else interacting with bots at all? A lot of you actually, there's a lot of things that actually you might not even realize are bots, even if it's the beginning of a customer service conversation. So regardless, what I'm getting at here is really these integrations built inside of other platforms are something that are becoming very popular. Now, why are we talking about Slack in general? Google as well as Microsoft has their own versions of these coming already developed and developing further. Slack really is the one that has the most traction here, which is why it's the one, if you're thinking about doing an app, that you want to jump on sooner than later. So all of this to say, this is what some of you who are here thinking about doing an app might be asking, me too. Is this really something that I want to be developing? So as I mentioned, we spend a good amount of time doing our bot, and there's a lot of things, and that's one, because it really took a lot to build the bot, but also because there's probably some things that we might not have thought about when we were originally launching the product. And that's really why we're here today, is to tell you guys who are thinking about this really what you should be thinking of before, to see if this is the right solution for you, and also to make sure that there's opportunity there for your business. Okay, so before I start, how many of you guys know Mailjet, just so that everything's in con? Yes, I saw that in the back row. Okay, cool. Just for those of you that don't know us, so we're the leading email service provider in Europe. We offer a tech that's really for marketers and developers to be able to have all of their company's email business needs in one. We're a French company, started in Nantes. We're just over 6 years old, but have 110 employees. So anyways, we're launching fast, and I just wanted to tell you about this just so you know, first of all, who we are, but also so that you know that bots and apps aren't just for large companies either. We're small, medium-sized company. First of all, if our tech sounds interesting for you, if any of you guys are part of a member of the family, we do have an unfair advantage with the family, and if you're interested in it, that lady in the back with the matching t-shirt to me is your girl to talk to. Okay, so first of all, how does this sound so far? I know we're a small group, so if you've got questions, feel free to yell them out. Are we good so far? Okay, I see some idle nodding heads. Perfect. Okay, so maybe I'll tell you how we got started with Slack. we were kind of thinking about opportunities with Slack, but it was sort of one of those things like in the back of our minds. And then we actually got a random email to our contact mailjet.com account. We thought it was spam because no one really reaches out to us there for these things. And it was actually Slack themselves being like, look, we're exploding, and essentially what their kind of underlying message was is they were really looking to develop out their app marketplace. What they told us is that there's people in the emailing space like you, and their apps seem to be doing pretty well. So are you available to talk about this? And it's actually thanks to the family that we talked to them for the first time because their DevRel came here, and so we met with them right away. And so why that kind of matters and why I'm telling you about this is that we had the opportunity to ask them what makes a good Slack app. And we got to ask them these questions before we started. So, and this is kind of where the presentation is going to go today. According to what they told us, as well as our own experience, here's the things that make a good Slack app. Now, the first is that it's unique to the app directory. Number two is that it's actually useful. Like sometimes things are fun, but does it really make sense for your business? Because as Arnaud and I just said, something that we might have thought took 2 weeks didn't take 2 weeks. So you want to make sure it's something that's actually going to be valuable, that it's well built, and that it's très Slack, to have a little bit of French in this presentation. Okay, so what do I mean by unique to the app directory? Have any of you guys seen the app directory before for Slack? Okay, we've got a few in the back, all right. Okay, so the app directory is essentially, so it's their portal where you can discover all of the different apps, integrations, bots that are made for you to integrate into Slack itself and to help your team do business better. So really the first place to start here is by going to the app directory and just searching in your domain. So we went in and we put an email. We're like, look, okay, Slack seems to think that there's opportunity here. Let's go check it out. And they were right. We had one of our main competitors there. One of our main competitors is Mailchimp. We kind of expected them to be there, and they were. But then we dove deeper. We're like, okay, yeah, they're there, but let's see what they're up to. So they have an integration that allows you to receive updates when people subscribe and unsubscribe from your list. And we're like, okay, that's cool. But I think there's still room to do something different here. We looked at another one. This is actually a French company that does some cool stuff. Mail Clark, and this is really pushing emails into Slack to help with especially customer service. We're like, okay, great, that's email, but that's not our business. And so really what we came away with is, all right, there does seem to be space here. As I mentioned, this app marketplace has hundreds of apps, but you need to look in your own space because there might actually not be as many as you think there are. The next one was, is it actually useful? So what kind of businesses do we have here? You guys in the front, what kind of industry are you in? Oh, we like La Roche-Guidry. Cool. So, we love you guys. So like in your business as well as our business, you're probably always asking yourselves, like, what are my customer pain points? How can I make my product better? How can I make my service better? And the way that you should think of a Slack app is sort of an extension of your own product offering. Really, you can use your Slack app as a #1 starting place to make it useful as something that can help your customer pain points. So what are they in emailing? So in emailing, all right, a little bit different than in other industries. When you send out, say, a marketing email campaign, you don't have these instant results. And it's kind of unsatisfying because you're like, I just worked so hard on this, I got stressed, I sent it out. And then you have to wait about 24 hours. And often you kind of forget to check back in on your stats. So first is remembering to check back in on your email stats. The second is, okay, look, I changed some things in this campaign. Was it better? Was it not? I don't really know. And finally was alleviating what we call that post-send anxiety, really that feeling of, okay, I just sent this out. Oh my God, did I send that to the contact list in the UK instead of the one in France? There's really a lot of anxiety when it comes to emailing. So we're like, maybe we can use Slack to approach these problematics. Okay, some of you might be wondering, okay, that's great. I thought of my customer pain points, but you know, what do Slack users actually say that they want? Well, what's kind of nice is that Slack actually tells you exactly what they do want. So what Slack does is they actually take all of the customer feedback that they're receiving and they put it in a Trello board. Really located, it's done by different types of teams or also different types of verticals. So that's actually one of the first places to start, is to see what people are already asking Slack to be developed. Next is actually useful. Next in terms of actually useful is, are your customers using Slack? Let's go over here, yourself in the blue. What kind of industry are you in? Connective clothing, okay, cool. So do you think that people that are using connective clothing might be on Slack as well? You don't have to answer. It's just more, don't worry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. It's more, that's the kind of question that you have to ask. It's like, okay, cool, it might be neat to really like create a Slack app, but are my customers even there? And that's a hard question to answer, but here's some of the things you can think about. First of all, you can go into Slack customer stories where they have actually their own case studies already there. 77 of the Fortune 100 companies are there. It is only available in English, so if your business is very France or domestic focused, that might be something to consider because even though it's well used in France, maybe not all of your customers are there. Probe your sales and consulting team. They're usually the ones that know if your customers are using it or not. But then Arnaud and I, as we were going over this presentation, he came up with a brilliant idea that I was like, where was this idea a few months ago when we were testing this? So Arnaud is going to tell you about also another way to kind of hack this process.
Yeah, so just figured this out. So if you type in the URL, so every time you create a Slack team, they give you a unique username. So for us, it's mailjet.slack.com. It's a public page. You can visit it. You will be asked for a single sign-on with our Google Apps domain. But if you repeat that operation for different domains, so if I tried Airbnb on the left, you can figure it out that Airbnb is a Slack customer because I'm asked for a single sign-on as well. Tried with several different companies' name, including our competitors. It works. And on the right, I tried with idon'texist.slack.com, and it gives me a 404, a very cool 404 page, but a 404. So you can figure that I can quickly scale that trick and figure out who is a Slack customer and who is not. So to be continued.
Okay. All right, so after we kind of followed this path, we were like, okay, so it seems that our customers are here. We see what our customer pain points are. We see that there's space in the marketplace. And then we came up with our product value proposition within Slack. And that was we wanted to be the Slack app that automatically feeds users their key email stats directly in Slack 24 hours after sending, plus tells them immediately after 24 hours whether their campaign did better or worse than last time. And that way they can react immediately depending on how it performed. So with that, we had our vision. And now this was about the time where I was like, hey, Arnaud, I want to do something. What do you think? Because it was at that time that we kind of figured out that, you know what, it might not be just one team that's going to be involved here. Okay, so now we're going to go into building a Slack app. Do we have any questions so far, or are Arnaud and I being crystal clear? Okay, cool. All right, so really when it comes to building the app, there's going to be kind of a marketing product side as well as the tech side. So I was leading the product development on here as well as the marketing side. So I'm going to talk about that, and then Arnaud's going to go into the part where we look under the hood about how to actually create the integration. So the first thing was mapping out the customer journey, because there's a lot of things to think about here that some of them are Slack's rules that you need to follow themselves, and other are just part of our own tech. Now, this is customer journey. I'm going to go into a few of the slides that really goes from our app on the app marketplace to our public landing page to actually connecting the email account to the Slack account, going through the OAuth process to actually having the product that's live within Slack. Now, this is going to look really different depending on your business, but there's a few things that you have to keep in mind for this product from a user flow experience. But really what's important here is that the moment we did this, we realized, okay, it's not even just the marketing team and the API team, it's also our front-end team, it's our UX team. So immediately you can kind of get an idea of how large this project is going to be, and as well as how long. So Arnaud and I were actually, that's a point that I'll stop on right there, which is really how long it can take to develop an application. So maybe I'll let you talk about if you're just doing it from a pure tech point of view. Okay, suspense. Okay, so one thing that I want to let you know, for anyone that's going to be building a Slack app, what you need to have in place no matter what is a public landing page. It's absolutely mandatory to have a public landing page that has one simple button, which is add to Slack. And it's really from there, that add to Slack button should really be the first part of actually technically connecting your two accounts. So this landing page can look however you want. This is a branded Mailjet landing page, but having a public landing page with an add to Slack button is absolutely mandatory. And the second, and this will look really different depending on your business, you need to have somewhere that's going to trigger the OAuth flow, really the flow that allows you to connect your technology to be able to share information between your technology and Slack itself. So in the case of Mailjet, that's actually inside of our app where you choose which email account that you want to connect to. We're going to do a live demo at the end, so then you guys can see this in motion. Okay, so from a marketing point of view and kind of layout user journey, those are the main things that you have. So what you can kind of see is that it's pretty open, to be honest, to design the user flow that's going to fit best your customer. But this is something that is also part of making a really good Slack app, is making it what I'm calling très Slack. My accent is actually better than that, but we'll go with that. So when you're creating an app for Slack, you can't just copy paste what you're doing in your current business. Like when you're working with a third-party environment, you need to look at what their environment looks like. How are your users using it? What kind of language are they using when they're there? What kind of colors? What's the format look like? And this is what you have to consider when you're considering your output. So for example, what this is always going to mean is kind of a more youthful tone, shorter sentences, strong calls to action, as well as a very visual layout. A lot of these options that are available within the Slack API. So just to give you an example of, I'm going to show you, so this is what the email statistics that you get from Mailjet look like in Slack, but I'll show you what they look like in Mailjet. So in Mailjet, this was a one-day campaign, so ignore those stats. But in Mailjet, your statistics will actually look like a full-out dashboard. But when you're with Slack, you've got a much shorter time to communicate in, so you need to choose your most important statistics and communicate in a way that's very conversational. So for example, when you actually receive your email statistics, it's going to say the results are in. 24 hours ago, you sent out this campaign to this newsletter list. Here's your stats so far. You can always click here to have your full dashboard. So it's this really kind of quirky conversational tone that needs to match your brand and also fit into the Slack marketplace. Okay, so that's from a marketing and product perspective. Now we're going to look under the hood about what it actually takes to develop from a technical point of view.
You know, like me as a developer, we want to know how it works, not only why we do things, but how things work. So I thought it was also useful to present you how we build that. No rocket science, but just to give you a sense of how you could build such apps. I think one thing also is when you work on such application, you have to wonder, am I doing that as a product extension? So am I building something which has a lot of value for my users? Or am I building that to get visibility out of Slack? So in our case, that's a bit of both, but it's an important question to ask. So first of all, for someone building API and using API on a daily basis, working with Slack platform has been a bless. You go on api.slack.com, pretty well done, super well documented. So really a bless. So the first thing, it's super easy to build on. They thought about a lot of cases. So when it comes to pre-prod environment, dev environment, we were able to test things quickly without messing up with the production environment. Everything is crystal clear when it comes to the documentation. So yeah, super easy to build on top of it. Second thing, as you've seen, we're doing some fancy stuff, again, no rocket science. When it comes to formatting the text, it could have been very tricky to do for someone dealing with HTML email on a daily basis. I know how things can turn bad, but with Slack, it was super easy, like to format the text the way Michyl asked for it. I was like, oh, how are we going to do that? Actually, it was super easy, so thanks Slack. So yeah, the formatting of a message was a strong advantage as well. And from out of the box, it's working on mobile. And I don't know for you, but it's a big thing. So when I work on that notification format in the desktop app, it looked exactly the same on the mobile app, adjusted to the screen device size. And the third thing that we're going to explore more and more is the interactivity. So far, or we have some hook that the customer can use, link to the dashboard, etc. But we could go further because Slack offers some option to interact with the end user, such as buttons. So for people who are using Slack, you may have been prompted by the Slack bot to leave channel. So the Slack bot comes to you and say, hey, you haven't interacted in that chat for months. Do you want to months, not months. Running joke. So yeah, we've been. You haven't spoke in that room. Do you want to leave it? So we could do the same with Mailjet. We could add buttons to go further. From day one, they have slash commands that you can invoke. I don't know if you use the Giphy one. Use it on a daily basis, multiple times. So yeah, that's the way you could add more interactivity with your apps. Or everything doesn't have to be text-based and static. Another cool thing they did, and I'm still wondering how we could leverage that, is now, you know, when you paste a URL in Slack, they give you a nice preview of the media. Now you can customize that view. So, for example, with the link of the statistic, we could actually show an image of the statistic as presented on a website. So that's pretty cool how deep you can go with the platform. Yeah, so api.slack.com, very well done. I can quickly see in 2 seconds that it has been built for developers. It's crystal clear. They already thought about a lot of scenarios for me. There's demos. There's the right plug and play code sample. I love that. So very cool platform. You can feel it's made by developers for developers. So yeah, quick glance at the architecture of our app. So the central part is what I call the Slack hub. So the reason why we made it this way is I wanted the app to be totally isolated from the system for several reasons. Security, I don't want the app to be able to be a loophole in our system. And I wanted to get rid of all legacy constraints for our platform. As you can imagine, we're 6 years old, a startup, so we have some legacy. So yeah, the app being isolated, secured, and this app, what it does, so when a campaign, so first when a user decides to plug the Slack integration, our front end do the OAuth protocol, the OAuth dance. I don't know if you've seen the 1st of April Fool from Stack Overflow. Don't know if you've seen that one. Go check this out. It's pretty cool. So yeah, the OAuth protocol, get the token, register the user to the hub. The campaign got sent. So the front end notifies the hub that a new campaign has been sent. Immediately the hub query the Mailjet API. So we're eating our own dog food. We retrieve the data, enrich the notification, and push it to Slack, which is super easy. They just provide a hook URL, where you just need to post the data. It's really straightforward. Like, again, no rocket science. And 24 hours later, the hub wakes up and push the second notification, again, enriching the data with our own API and publishing to Slack. So again, no rocket science. It can be super easy to achieve. You can quickly iterate on that. The API is super well documented, and you have plenty of opportunity to hack and build with Slack.
Cool. Okay, so we've talked about finding your product market fits. We've talked about actually building the product from different viewpoints. Now I want to get into really a bit more of the process in terms of what you're going to go through. I'm calling this section who you could work with at Slack because it's really going to be different depending on your experience. But these are the possibilities of who you could interact with. So first of all, you could interact with no one. If you don't like talking to people, you just don't like people in general, that's fine, because you don't have to talk to anyone. Now, Arnaud talks about how Slack API section is really well designed for developers, but as a marketer, it's actually very intuitive as well, because it's in this section that you're actually going to go to build out your app. Slack makes it very, very easy. It's essentially a interactive checklist that you go through in terms of setting up your landing page, putting what are your different permissions, putting who all of your contact information is. So this process is very easy. You can submit, and then you can really just hear from the app team if there's a problem, if they have questions, etc. Now, that being said, if you're really looking to get featured, and we'll go into that part in a second, the more you can develop a relationship with Slack, the better. So in our case, we were lucky because in our case, Slack actually reached out to us first. We ended up working with 3 teams who are people that you could work with as well, depending on your different operation. But the first one was the partnership team. This was our main point of contact, and they were great. They were really there to provide feedback, to put us in touch with the other teams we needed to be in contact with, and really kind of helped us all along the way as we were developing. Now, really the product team is really looking to develop out their app marketplace, so they were extremely receptive to helping us. And so essentially what we did is we started working with them, talked to them about their product concept. They had a few feedbacks. We started building what the app would look like when pushed into Slack. They had some feedback there, but then it was time to present to their engineering team. So, we got our demo ready, and this is where if you have a designer, a UX designer, especially in your team, really valuable, even if they're just making something on InVision, just to have something that's movable to show them the proof of concept. And really, we did a demo to the engineering team with an offline version where they could really see the flow. And from there, they can tell you right away, okay, I've seen this work a little bit better. Here's something that you can improve for the user experience. So they were very receptive to that. And then the final test, when it was actually finished, so at this point, we had their feedback, we know we could go ahead and launch, but we really wanted to get featured. So we really pushed to be in touch as well with their app team. And this was like the real demo, the live demo, the, oh my God, I hope that nothing crashes right at this moment. And so we chatted with the app team. I should mention partnership engineering team, mostly based in the US. App team actually based in the United Kingdom. So did the demo to the app team, it went great, and then if the app team thinks what you've done is interesting, they'll put it forward to a vote with the rest of their app team. And then based on that, you could be featured. So maybe I'll go into, actually I'm going to jump in right here to talk a bit more about featured. So on the Slack app marketplace, this is the general landing page where you can discover new apps. And there's a number of different places that you can get featured. So for example, under Brilliant Bots, Plug into the Grid, New and Noteworthy, or the coveted top 3 spots that we fought very hard to get into. They all have a lot of value. I'll show you some of the results after. But really, if you're able to get in there, it really can definitely bring some awesome visibility. So overall, what you should keep in mind is that if you want to get featured, the more you can try and be in contact with the Slack team, the better, because what they really also want to know, aside from having a great product, is that are you a team that really cares? Do you really care about building something great for their community? We already talked about, of course, it has to be well built. Slack will never promise that you can be featured because you can never promise that you're going to produce something that meets the dream vision that you've created. So you really need to build something great according to the different criteria that Arnaud and I talked about. Of course, unique to the app marketplace itself, but also something we thought was important, and again, this is our own opinion, I should mention, but really something that works with Slack's vision as well. Slack's vision is to really help teams collaborate, to really help you do work better, and one of the things that Arnaud mentioned about our app is that it actually allows not you just to receive your email notifications, but also to allow your teams to see what's going on in other departments. So it really helped bring teams together. So really, number one is, of course, you need to build something great. Try and be in touch with their team as much as possible. And really try and build something unique that is also in the vision of helping people get work done well. Now, that being said, I should just, in case you're, so oftentimes, so I come from originally the channel marketing team on Mailjet. What that means is often we're doing a partnership together. We know that we're going to do co-blogs and different promotions. So if you're thinking that that's exactly what's going to happen with Slack, that's not really how they work. They're very generous, but if you're going to create something, you shouldn't expect that you're going to get tons of visibility from their side because it's not totally how they operate. So Slack doesn't do co-marketing. They don't guarantee feature placement. That being said, they're very helpful. They'll provide feedback, they'll help you with your Q&A, and it's really a great team that is really there to help you make something fantastic. Okay, so what are the results? Essentially, why did we choose to do a Slack app? We chose to do a Slack app really for retention and awareness. What we found is that we're like, okay, we think that a lot of our Mailjet clients are using Slack, and this could be really something that we offer them to make them really continue to want to use Mailjet to solve all of their different email needs. We also saw this as an awareness opportunity. It's great to associate our name with someone like Slack that has a big growing audience, but obviously, of course, we knew that we weren't guaranteed to have coverage, so that's why we worked so hard with their team to really make sure that we could have something great. And the results were there. So we have 100 plus activations a week from companies companies large and small. Awesome feedback. So we've got a 75% retention rate. So 75% of people that are connecting, are using the app, are staying with it. And actually, kind of a side benefit is we're actually getting new clients from it as well. So we're at 25 new clients a week. This isn't a ginormous number, but this really wasn't our main goal. And the fact that just from visibility within Slack, the Slack app marketplace especially, we're able to gain new clients that are using our tech. A final one just to note is that it really will have an effect on your traffic. This is that public landing page that I was telling you about. This is our traffic when we got listed on the new and noteworthy section, and then our traffic when we got in the featured section. So if you're able to get featured, it's definitely something that can have a positive result.
I'm curious to know if you have thought of other possible integrations with Slack, not just pushing some statistics, but to have your own workflow integrated into Slack somehow.
Yeah, I think next on our list is definitely the contact subscription. So being able, I think one valuable things for customers is to, when someone sign up to your list, being able to see quickly who's that person and is it valuable for your business. So you may get hundreds new subscription every day, and you may miss that person from a big company or that influencer who just sign up. So if we can give you real time, or at least filter the noise and give you a notification every time someone based on different criteria you may have defined sign up to your list, that's super valuable. We could also think like a topic which is important for us now, since we really into collaboration between people when it comes to email, and especially marketers and developers. You could have imagined, for example, to push out a notification to someone when he needs to validate a campaign. So imagine you do everything Michyl just did, and at the end, when you're about to send, you press click, send the notification to the person who can actually send that campaign, and you can have a notification directly in Slack. So yeah, there is 100 cases where you can think about where Slack could be. I think the real point of Slack is you have the data to deal with, and for some cases, Slack is the best place to have it. So it doesn't fit, it's not a silver bullet, but for some data, it's really the place where customers expect to have the information.
I have two questions. The main important one is how long did it finally take to really build the app from the initial idea to the solution? And the second one is, do the Slack API allow you to collect data or feedbacks about the use that is done of your Slack notification, if people click on it, if they access more dashboards or not with it?
Yeah, so I will answer the second first. I won't be a politician tonight. I won't skip the first. Yeah, I think so. All tags, all links we have in the notification are tagged, so we can obviously track. It's easy tracking, like a regular traffic tracking. I'm not sure, and Michyl is more suited to answer that, if they have specific dashboard to tell you from their side how many people activated the integration, etc. I don't know if they're yet.
There's not. No, from what I've seen so far, there's not like an analytics dashboard behind it. Essentially, you have a very, very easy way to set up and put in place your app. But yeah, you don't have a place to really track it, which is why tracking on our side was super important. Really, the way that we tracked it was in a few different ways. So what we did, let me just go over to the Slack app marketplace. So here, actually, what we did, here on the button Visit Site, as you can see, this is a Mailjet link. So we made sure to have our UTM tracking here. That way we could see the number of people that were clicking this button and coming over to our side. And then what we did is we built into our tech on our side a way to see the number of people that were actually turning on the activation. So when we are in this one here, we have a way to track when people have clicked on these buttons here. So a lot of that came from our side and our own, so in Google Analytics, as well as our own in-app dashboard tracking. Okay, well guys, thanks so much.
people are funny.